Number one, decide exactly what you want in every key area of your life. This will immediately set you apart from 80 or 90% of the population. The most important word that I have found in success is clarity. Clarity, clarity. Successful people are very clear about what they want. And here's an interesting discovery. The greater clarity you have, the faster you draw into your life the resources necessary to achieve it. So in determining what you want, there's an activity that I teach to the senior executives of billion-dollar corporations, and it's called idealization. So you start off by idealizing your perfect life. You imagine that there are no limitations on what you can do or be or have. Imagine that you have all the time and all the money. You have all the friends and all the contacts, all the education and all the experience that you need to accomplish any goal that you could set for yourself. Imagine that you could wave a magic wand and make your life perfect in each of the 4 key areas of life. If your life was perfect in every area, what would it look like? Now here's the point before we go into the 4 areas. The fear of not achieving your goal, what we call self-limiting beliefs, holds you back more than anything else. And your self-limiting beliefs are not based on reality. That's why you have to constantly think, if I had no limitations, what goals would I set for myself? So let's start with the 4 big areas. The first area has to do with your income and your business and your career. Project forward 5 years. If your income, business, career was perfect 5 years from now, what would it look like? How would it be different from today? How much would you be earning? What kind of work would you be doing? Who would you be working with? What position would you have in your business? We call this the creation of a 5-year fantasy. Just fantasize like a child prior to Christmas. Just imagine that you could create your world perfectly, and what would it look like? And then here's the key question. What would you have to do? What would have to happen? What would be the first step that you would have to take today to begin creating your perfect business and career future? If your goal is to double and triple your income, what is the first step that you would have to take right now? And here's a great discovery. Everybody knows the first step. The first step is clear. Confucius said, a journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step. The fact is, the hardest part of success is taking the first step in the direction that you want to go. Remember that. That's what holds most people back. Now, the second area has to do with your family and your relationships. If you could project forward 5 years and your life was perfect, what kind of relationships would you have? What kind of lifestyle would you have? Where would you live? What would you want to do on vacations? What would you want to create for yourself and your family? And remember, clarity is important. Then come back to the present and think into the future and say, what would have to happen starting today for me to create that perfect future? And what would be the first step? The third area has to do with your health. If your health was perfect in every way, sometime in the future, how would it be different from today? How much would you weigh? How much would you exercise? How much energy would you have? How much time would you take off to rest? If your personal life and health and energy was perfect in every way, how would it be different from today? And what would have to happen to make that come true? And what would be your first step? Now, the last area has to do with your net worth, what we call financial freedom. How much do you want to be able to save and accumulate in the course of your working lifetime? Remember this, your likelihood of achieving your lifelong financial goals increased by 10 times by the very act of writing the number down on a piece of paper. This is so important. Now, here's an exercise for you. It's called the quick list method. What you do is you write down 3 goals that you'd like to accomplish in the foreseeable future. You write them down in less than 30 seconds without taking any time to think. You write down your 3 most important goals in life right now. Now, whatever you write down will be an accurate picture of what you really want in your life right now. when you only have 30 seconds to write down 3 goals, your answers will be as accurate as if you had 30 minutes or 3 hours. This is a wonderful exercise for you to engage in, and with our students, we take them through this quick list method, this 3-goal exercise in every area of their life: their family, their income, their business, their customers, products, services, markets, sales. We just write down the 3. But in your case, just write down your 3 most important goals in life and write them down quickly and then look at them, and sometimes you'll be surprised. Now, in goal setting, the next stage, number 2, is to write it down. Remember we talked about clarity? Francis Bacon once says that writing maketh an exact man. Is when you write your goals down clearly, they take on a power of their own in your mind. You pull them out of the air where they have no substance at all, and you write them down on paper, and now you have something you can touch. Your goals must be in writing. Many people say, oh, I know exactly what I want. And I've met and worked with these people over the years, and you know something? They're almost all failures. They say, oh, I know what I want. I don't have to write it down. Yes, you do, because until you start writing, we find that there's an incredible connection between the head and the hand. And when you start to write goals, you'll be absolutely astonished what comes out on the paper. And when you write a goal down, you engage in what is called a psychoneuromotor activity. You activate your visual powers, your audio powers, and your kinesthetic powers. And whatever you write down, you actually program straight into your subconscious mind, where it starts to work 24 hours a day. Great stuff, let me tell you. Now, your goals must be clear, specific, detailed, and measurable. You must write out your goals as if you were placing an order for your goal to be manufactured in a factory at a great distance. And what they would do is they would create your goal, your order, and send it to you exactly as you wrote it down. Albert Einstein said that your goal must be so clear that a 6-year-old child could understand it clearly and explain it to another 6-year-old child and be able to tell you if you had achieved your goal or how close you were. This is why you never say, well, my goal is to be happy, and my goal is to be rich, and my goal is to be popular and meet the right person. These are not goals. These are fantasies. They are wishes. Even crazy people have these wishes. A goal is something that is written down and specific and clear, and your most important goal must be measurable so you know exactly where you are relative to the goal. Now, only 3% of adults have written goals worldwide, and everybody else works for them. In fact, the studies done at Yale and Harvard proved over a 20-30-year period that people with written goals ended up earning and having a net worth 10 times greater than people without goals, holding constant for intelligence, grades, graduation from courses, industries, marital status, and parts of the country. The people who started with goals were 10 times more likely to be successful and were worth 10 times more than the others in the course of a few years. Goal setting is really great. Now, number 3, set a deadline. Set a deadline, and then if necessary, set sub-deadlines on your goal. For example, if you set a 12-month goal to double your income, then you break it down into 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and then 2 months, 1 month. And then if you're really smart, week by week by week, and some people even break their goals down into daily activities. If it's a 20-year goal, break it down into 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 3 months, and then 1 month. The more you break your goal down, the more likely it is you will achieve it. And then you complete your big goal one step at a time. Now, your subconscious mind uses deadlines as forcing systems. They drive you consciously and unconsciously toward achieving your goal on schedule. Anais Nin once said that your subconscious can work against you because when you set a big goal, you're disrupting your subconscious. So your subconscious mind will tell you that it's not possible and will attempt to sabotage you. And you know the way your subconscious mind sabotages you? It tells you, you can't achieve this goal. You don't need to write it down. It's okay as long as you know what it is. Because of the fear of failure, what you do is you don't write the goal down, and that way you can't fail. Isn't that clever? And people say, well, if you don't expect anything good, you'll never be disappointed. and these people have no future. You write it down as if by writing it down it was guaranteed to you. And in many cases it will be if you write it down. If your goal is big enough, set sub-deadlines. If you want to achieve financial independence, you may set a 10 or 20-year goal and then break it down year by year so that you know how much you have to save and invest each year. If for some reason you don't achieve your goal by the deadline, simply set a new deadline. There are no unreasonable goals, only unreasonable deadlines. And other things can happen that you hadn't expected that will put your deadlines off. Don't worry about it. Just set a new deadline and go back to work.